this is my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Okay, so in the last episode, Kakyoin was losing a racing game, and in this episode, it kind of continues with that and finishes that off. And then Jojo decides to step up and play a game. So, Kakyoin actually tries to knock Darby off the track using a spin technique, and it works. But then it's revealed that Darby actually wanted him to knock him on the track in the first place, and instead of falling off the track, actually lands like half a loop ahead and winds up having a tremendous lead. And Kakyoin, realizing it would be pointless to actually continue the race, admits defeat in his heart, and his soul is stolen. And now it's Jotaro's turn to actually avenge his friend. So Jotaro steps up mainly because he realizes that Joseph most likely doesn't know how to play any of the video games, or at the very least isn't as good as Kakyoin was, and actually steps up to actually defend his friend. And sure enough, Jotaro picks a baseball game, which oddly enough is one of the tamer games he could have played. Because I don't think I need to understand how it works. Everybody knows what baseball is. Jotaro picks a baseball game, which happens to be one of Darby's best games, and they start playing with Darby picking one team and Jotaro picking another. And for added effect, Darby reveals that the game works with a stylus, and that he can actually draw the player's teammates onto the team. He can basically he can choose what the teams look like by drawing in a picture. And sure enough, uses them to actually pick their stands and use them as the mascots for the team. And sure enough, all of Jotaro's players look like Star Platinum, and all of Darby's players look like Adam. So, and with that the game begins. But Jotaro's first attempt at swinging is a mile off, and after taking a minute to realize it, they realize Jotaro has never played a video game before. He sits down and it's his first time playing a video game ever, and that's kind of a problem, because it is kind of a video game competition, and they are kind of wagering souls as a prize. So Jotaro is kind of just bluffing his way through it for about 8 rounds, and he manages to strike out 2 pitchers and almost strikes out a third. However, it's around this point where Jotaro reveals that he's finally learned how to swing, and sure enough, brings it up 4-0 without any effort. And Darby realizing that Jotaro has finally used his stand's power to actually ascertain when the best time to swing actually is, and realizing that he basically sacrificed 2 pitchers and almost sacrificed a third as practice pitches, basically pulls it out of his ass and manages to bring it all the way up 4-0. And Darby realizing that Jojo is most likely going to win, and realizing how fearsome his stand actually is, realizes there's a reason Dio has actually been afraid of Jotaro this whole time, realizing that Jotaro is a nuisance because of his stand's power, and Darby actually takes a little bit of delight in it. However, Joseph goads him tries to goad him into taking them to where Dio is, pointing out that with Jotaro's newfound skill, there's no way Darby's going to be able to beat them, since they declared at the beginning of the game, which I didn't mention, but they declared at the beginning of the game that if the game was ever 11 up and in between, that the game would be called. And with Jotaro suddenly pulling four home runs out of his ass, it's entirely possible that Darby is going to lose the game. However, Darby tells them a bit of a story. He reveals that Darby never once asked him to play a game of poker, and there's a reason behind that. So when they were younger, Daniel actually stole Terrence's girlfriend, and Terrence beat him up over it. So and rather than try and fight back, Darby just admits he's sorry to his younger brother. So So that basically gives Jojo all the information he needs to know, as Darby reveals that his older brother could never beat him, and his older brother knew that. So Daniel could never beat Terrence, apparently, and Daniel knew that. He knew he would never actually be able to beat his brother at anything, which is why he started resorting to cheating, because he realized that was the only way he could actually gain an edge, but also realizes that he would most likely would not work. At which point Jotaro realizes that what the actual secret of Terrence's stand is, about its secret ability that didn't tell them, and tries to prove a point when he actually starts declaring his pitches, and Jojo is able to hit it, realizing that if he went for the forkball, but realized it was going to be a fastball at the last second, and actually gets his first pitcher out, and they switch places. At which point Jojo just further decides to test his theory by pitching at Darby's player on purpose. Like, it's in baseball, if you hit one of the players, it's a bad thing. You're not supposed to do that. That's not a good thing. Mainly because baseballs hurt like hell. But sure enough, Terrence gets out of the way almost immediately and is able to dodge out of the way of the baseball. At which point, Jotaro reveals what he's formulated as a theory about how Terrence's stand works, revealing that he believes that Terrence's stand, in addition to being able to see souls, can also read minds. And sure enough, Jotaro is convinced. Jotaro is convinced that this is the case because of how much precision Darby is shown to have been able to maneuver his player out of the way of the oncoming baseball. And sure enough, Joseph believes it as well because he saw it firsthand. And sure enough, Terrence is like, yeah, you might have figured it out. He looks very smug about it. So it's clear that Jojo is on the right track. And trying to figure, in an effort to try and figure out how exactly Terrence is actually picking his pitches, he takes off his hat and at first it's believed that he's using it to block Terrence's view of his eyes, since he believes that Terrence is using his eyes to actually see his screen and see what's going on. Although Joseph confirms that that's not the case and that Jotaro really should just put his hat back on. But Jotaro reveals that he didn't take his hat off because he suspects that Darby is using his eyes to cheat, but rather that it was just hot and he wanted it off. And at this point starts declaring his pitches and decides to start the game serious. It's heavily implied in this episode that Terrence actually is able to read a person's mind using his stand. So it's very clear. So it's very clear that that's a power that Adam has, and even though it's not explicitly stated outright. And sure enough, Jotaro has since figured that out, and also has managed to try and win a game. So Jotaro is I should mention unable to actually beat Darby, since Darby is now taking it serious and has actually been hitting all of Jotaro's pitches since they switched. So it's very clear that Jotaro is at a very distinct disadvantage. He's not going to be able to defeat Darby the traditional way. So it's possible he may have to resort to cheating to actually beat him. But the problem is that Adam can actually reveal when someone is cheating because it can actually read a person's thoughts. So how is this going to work? It is implied that Jotaro does indeed cheat, because it's revealed in the preview that Jotaro starts resorting to cheating to actually beat Darby, but it's never explicitly explained what he does. So it's going to be interesting seeing how Jotaro actually beats a stand user that can basically read his mind. It's going to be very interesting seeing how he pulls that off. But in any case, that's my review of Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. What did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter in the description below. And also, check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks on my way saying thanks. So be sure to check those out in the description below as well. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!